Welcome to the FantasyCruncher YouTube page. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe, hit that like button, and then on the bottom of this video in the comments section, leave your username on FantasyCruncher and the quarterback you think scores the most points. We are doing the Week 14 quarterback video here, and we'll draw someone randomly for a free week of FantasyCruncher Pro. I can't believe it's Week 14 already. It feels like Week 1 was literally yesterday. It's unbelievable. We are all the way in Week 14. Actually, this is a pretty nice week for a December week. You know, December, you start worrying about cold weather games and all that. We actually don't have that many on the slate. You know, we've got to worry about weather in Buffalo, Cleveland, Green Bay, New York, and New England. So, 13 games, 8 of which really don't have any weather concerns. Pretty good. We got a bunch of domes on this slate. Not sure if it's intentional or not, but what it's done is it's really taken a lot of the games out of the 30s and has allowed a lot of totals to be pretty close. We're ranging between 40.5 right now to 48.5. So not a huge range here. Last week we were ranging between 52 and 38. So just to show you, there's a little more balance here. We'd only have that one lopsided game, Minnesota at home against the Detroit Lions, which is in the division game, 13 points. Even that feels like a lot. So we're going to cover quarterbacks today. Last week we talked about Patrick Mahomes, we talked about Jared Goff, we talked about Nick Foles, who got benched, Jameis Winston, who didn't score any points, but at least Jared Goff was good. And Andy Dalton was fine in cash as well, so not the worst video we've ever done, but let's hopefully get a little more success this week. We'll start at the top. Lamar Jackson at Buffalo. I just mentioned all those weather concerns in Buffalo. I can't get to Lamar this week. That Buffalo defense is really good against the run. I know the Baltimore offense is a different beast, but this is one of the couple games on the schedule where I think Baltimore could slip up the rest of the way. I think this is going to be a pretty competitive football game. I think it's going to be a great football game to watch. Not really sure it's got a whole lot of fantasy appeal. The first quarterback I have a bunch of interest in tournaments is Aaron Rodgers. We saw the Washington Redskins put up a valiant effort on the road in Carolina and win that game outright last week, which was pretty shocking to me. But we get Aaron Rodgers at home against this Washington defense. You kind of got to think Washington just gave its one good effort, and Aaron Rodgers should be able to throw over the football. Even Kyle Allen was able to throw to DJ Moore in this game. Aaron Rodgers coming off a 4-touchdown game, didn't have to throw a lot of yardage, so I think that's probably the only concern is the 300-yard bonus. Probably not something he's going to need to get. And they could go back to Aaron Jones at any time. But I think it's 6,800, still under 7K, and one of the higher team totals of the week. I think he has a ton of interest. Kirk Cousins against the Detroit secondary is interesting in the Dome. I think he's definitely got some interest, but they're coming off a short week, which is always a concern. Cross-country flight. So there's definitely some concerns here with Kirk Cousins, but again, got to see the status on Thielen. He's been out for a while. Would like Kirk Cousins a lot more if he came back. So we kind of scroll around. Deshaun Watson at home against Denver. I think this is a pretty good spot for Deshaun Watson. Played pretty well in that Patriots game. Put up 28 fantasy points. Got those 3 touchdowns. He also really didn't need to throw over 300 yards. They were running the ball and running that clock out basically most of the second half. Draws a Denver defense that's been playing a little more inspired, but Drew Lock's first road start, I can't imagine that goes over very well. Expect Houston to get some short fields to be able to punch in some extra Deshaun Watson touchdowns. I like Deshaun Watson here. Denver's pretty good against the run. They were bad early in the season, but they've kind of stiffened up a little bit. I think Deshaun Watson has a bunch of ceiling here. He's an option. Wouldn't be a week ending in why if I didn't recommend Jameis Winston. I mean, last week was a season low in passing attempts simply because they got a pick 6 and they were able to run some touchdowns in against a Jaguars defense that we knew was vulnerable on the ground. Really not going to stop me here. I mean, Jameis Winston still threw the ball 33 times in a game that they were up 28-3 in. That's kind of the floor for passing attempts for him. You know, this is the first game since week 4, or week 5, that he hadn't thrown for 300 yards. Getting that bonus for 6,400 is really nice on DraftKings. And again, he's been doing some more with his legs. You know, I mentioned this last week, but another 2 or 3 points with his legs, those points add up. And he's eventually going to get a rushing touchdown. If he keeps running the ball 5-6 times a game, he's going to get that rushing touchdown. And when he does, he's just going to be on the tournament winning team. So I'm going back to Jameis this week. Tom Brady against Kansas City I think is really interesting. I think the Patriots have shown that they just can't run the football consistently. Tom Brady pass attempts this season, 47, 37, 47, 46, 36, 45, 41, 42. And look, it's looked ugly at times. It absolutely has looked ugly at times. I still think the Patriots are not using N'Keal Harry enough in the red zone. But I understand after that terrible route he ran that Tom Brady was pissed. But you know what? It's another week of practice. You know, the Patriots are going to have another big marquee game, 4 p.m. They need someone to step up, simply. They need a receiver to step up. And it's not going to be... None of these other guys they have can just break open. They just can't. They can't do it. So, I think Tom Brady at some point is just going to have to trust to throw it up to Harry. And I just believe the passing attempts are going to be here. He's 6,100. We know the Kansas City secondary isn't that good. I just really don't see... I haven't played Tom Brady all season. I really haven't come close to playing Tom Brady all season. But this is a fantastic Tom Brady spot. It's hard to ignore. So 6,100, he's a strong consideration for me. Obviously, we have to see what the weather in New England is later in the week. But I really like him. Ryan Fitzpatrick on the road in New York. Again, something we have to worry about the weather. But he's been phenomenal. You know, he's just been throwing touchdowns every week. And he's up to it again. You know, he's going to be behind, and they're going to be throwing, and they can't run the ball. Patrick Laird's going to be a nice value option when we get to running back. But Fitz is going to throw the ball 30 to 35 times, and we saw that you can just get points against this Jets secondary. We saw it in Week 9, where he put up 288 and 3 in their first win of the season. Put up 24 fantasy points. For 6K, if you can get 24 fantasy points, that's a ton. And I just don't really think the Jets are good. And I think Ryan Fitzpatrick can go to New York, and the Dolphins might be the better team, to be honest. Are they favored? I wouldn't be surprised. Jets favored by 5. That's a little insane. I like the Dolphins here to put up a really good fight. So Fitzpatrick, I don't mind either. If we're looking for cheap options, Devlin Hodges just doesn't have the ceiling here to compete with Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tom Brady. I wouldn't do it. Sam Darnold's an option against the Dolphins, but it's just tough to trust him. I don't think it's a bad option, but I think I'd rather play Brady or Fitzpatrick. That's kind of really how I feel about all these other options down here. Like Gardner Minshew at 5,400. Kind of has all the same things going that Nick Foles had for him last week. This matchup isn't quite as good, but you can go there. But David Blah was pretty good against a good Bears secondary. I know he struggled in the middle part of the game, but this time he's going to have a full week of practice. They're going up against a better defense. You could play him for 5,200 if you really wanted to save money. I think he's cash game viable as well. But honestly, having Tom Brady and Fitzpatrick for 900 more, it's really tough for me. And even Jacoby Brissett at 6,100 against Tampa. Like, I forgot about him. He's a great option this week. So, you know, for me, if we're looking for a top 5, to me, it's Tom Brady, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Jacoby Brissett, Jameis Winston, and Aaron Rodgers. And I don't think I'm going to need to go cheaper. We've got some value running backs. Tune into the running backs video to see who those guys are. But for me, I think this is clearly a week where kind of don't need a punt. I think there's some really good options here in this mid-tier. You're not paying the full freight at quarterback, but you're paying good for a good player. I just don't think saving that extra 800 to get you to a quarterback that just isn't very good is worth it this week. So, if you're asking me right now who my top quarterback is, it's Tom Brady this week, which I really can't believe I'm saying, but all the signs point to Tom Brady being one of the safest bets to get the point. Like, the Kansas City's going to score, you would imagine. I know the Pats defense is really good, but you got to imagine the Kansas City offense is going to score. So, yeah, really like Tom Brady this week. Again, really appreciate you guys for tuning in to the Week 14 quarterbacks video. Again, please subscribe, like, leave in the comments section with your FantasyCruncher username the quarterback that you think scores the most DraftKings points this week. Check out all the other videos. And with that, guys, good luck this week.